up last week?
10,000. 10,000
What?
square.
10,000 square feet.
And is that the gym?
What we're doing is maintenance is setting up for the election tomorrow. He's gonna take a wheel over there and measure the square footage of the gym with the bleachers all pulled up to get us an idea if that's a big enough spot or if we need to try and figure out a different location. And also under Chapter 92 of the Acts of 2020, we now can move our town meeting outside the geographical borders of Granby with the approval of the moderator. The selectmen can vote to move it to another spot.
We got another visitor joining us here.
I think that if, before we decide to move it, we should probably keep it in Granby as much as we can, because I think it's, there's so much new happening with the pandemic that adding a different venue outside Granby will cause problems.
And I would agree, Lynn. I think Chris is just saying it is an option for us to look at. So, and I guess I was thinking too, if we were able to use the gym, the high school gym, could we possibly set up like classrooms as well, where whatever is being shown in the gym is broadcast into the classrooms? But we'd have that technology with GCAM.
Do we? Or
I don't know. GCAM can record and show things live as they're recording it. So I'm wondering if that is something they could be, you know, so we set up a couple of classrooms in case we have an overflow amount of people.
well, so some towns have set up an overflow room, or they've actually put 2 rooms out there and divided the audience, and they've hired a company to set up all those logistics. And that's, it looks like it's about $4,000 to do that if we hire somebody else, if we don't have the capability here in Granby.
And you need an alternate moderator in every room, right, Lynn?
You do. I'd have to appoint someone to be a moderator. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Because the MMA had a big discussion on this, inside, outside, all the different stuff. I forwarded it to everybody there on the select board, just for information, you know, sharing, and if you want to use it. And during those meetings, there was a couple towns that abut each other that were considering using the same stuff and splitting the cost, shall we say, on the setup.
Oh. Well, I don't know what town you'd be thinking of, because South Hadley already had theirs and they're representative.
They're representatives, right? No, I'm just saying what was said on the, what's Belchertown? Are they like us? Or are they representatives too?
I don't know what Belchertown is. The other issue though, which is happening, is most of these towns that are having the annual town meeting are getting double what they normally get. Because people are home, they're not working. They're excited to get out of the house. So I also don't want to lowball the members that show up.
All right.
So we have to really think big picture for Granby right now.
We do, because we don't want to be surprised, and we want to make sure we have enough room to handle everybody that shows up.
That's why
Right.
the MMA,
I mean, if it's outdoor, we could.
so the MMA was recommending if somebody had a football field or something, because all the markings were there, and there was you could put people in the stadiums on one side and mark them apart. That's what they were recommending. We don't have a stadium.
Right. I mean, the best we can do is a parking lot between the 2 schools, which I think would be great if it's nice level ground. I think moving out to the soccer fields gets a little hairy with people having to walk out there, knowing the average age of our town meeting member that show up.
I would agree.
There's a nice breeze that through there, so it does keep the temperature down.
I don't know. If
To have it indoors.
With a gale.
No.
Jen, what'd you say?
Yeah, they, you know, the high school, when they did the graduation, they were set up between the 2 schools, and you know, it was a warm, it wasn't a warm day, but it was nice in the morning. And I think that's something I'll look at too. If we're gonna plan it, we gotta plan it where it's gonna be, the time of day it's gonna be, and we need to look at it to see what the conditions are for, that time of day as well, I wish, and I would think if we like the idea of like a soccer field with bleachers or a football field, something like that, something like you consider like something like South Hadley has. And I know we're trying to keep it in town, but with that there, you have bleachers on both sides. You can set up chairs in on the field as well, so your capacity almost doubles what it could be. But
I have a lot of diagrams. I have a lot of diagrams from other towns
Yep.
of how they're setting up their football fields and their stadiums, like Long Meadow. Long Meadow's having theirs on Monday night. It's a huge production,
okay,
but they have much more money than we do
yeah.
Yes.
to play with all that.
I think whatever we do is going to be a huge production because we're trying to do something that's not the normal, and
Right.
so restrictions in place for us to do it.
So I really wanted to get you guys to start thinking about that because we need to start meeting relatively soon to get all the players in place. In addition to the location, we really need to think about limiting the articles on the annual town meeting to most towns are limiting it to budget, and all the articles that aren't budget related can be taken care of at a special town meeting later in the fall when it's safer. Or the other option you can do is send out to I'd probably post it on the internet somewhere, the articles with the explanations that you guys would normally come up to the microphone and when you move it, explain what this article is. Instead of doing that, actually have it written out and posted on the GRANBY website for people to look at before town meetings, so it goes a lot faster. We don't have the questions that we would normally have. And I know not everybody is on the web or would look that up. We could probably send a postcard out to all townspeople saying, if you can't find the information on the web, we can send you a hard copy. There's things we can do to shorten the meeting, I guess is what I'm saying, and that we should,
Yeah.
just to keep people healthy.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that whatever steps we can take to shorten the meeting is definitely valuable. And again, we need to just look at the spots. We have enough room for people that will show up. And with that said too, Lynn, if we're giving out enough information, and it is also possible that people may not show up because they feel, okay, I'm okay with what's being said. I don't need to show up or something like that. They may choose to.
Well, that is true. But they have to show up to vote, right?
No, and I understand that, but sometimes people read it and say, well, I'm okay. I don't need to go.
Yeah.
People may think about that before attending because let's face it, they're going to have concerns, about being out there, being out in public, or, everybody's comfort level with the COVID-19 is different.
Right.
That's something we got to consider.
We have to consider the microphones. I mean, we only have two roaming microphones, right? Right, Chris?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, and having, there's a lot, the logistics of what we have and what we have to do. It's a lot. So I guess we need to set a date and start working on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm okay with July 27th. Does that work for everybody else?
just so you know, if you're planning on holding it outside, you want it in the morning. The 27th is.
In the morning, it's got to be on a weekend. Yeah.
So you have to make a determination inside or outside before you even set that date.
I can't hear who's talking. Who's talking?
Chris Martin was
Oh.
talking. Yeah, so Chris was saying, I don't know if you heard him or not, Lynn. He was
Yeah.
basically saying that we need to decide whether we want it inside or outside, which also would depend on a day as well.
Yeah.
Because if we're gonna have it in the morning outside, we'd have to look at it on a weekend day. probably Saturday.
Most towns are having it outdoors, early evening. So starting at 6. And then, so it doesn't get, by then it's a little cooler out. The sun's going down. Having it, go ahead.
Again, and this, for us to decide where we're gonna have it, that's something we need to look at as, again, end of July, very hot. We'd have to see where the sun is at 6 o'clock at night. That's real.
Yep. But if it is in the morning, you'd have to have it on a Saturday or Sunday, so people who don't
Right.
work, and Sunday would be a little tough, I would think, with church and state.
I think it's Saturday would be. So I guess, Lynn, with you and the board, what would be the preference to look at first? Would it be the preference to be inside and start looking at that to see what we need to do to make that happen? And if it's not possible, then we look at going outside, or is the preference is to do it outside and start looking at that? And if we can't do it, look at inside.
Myself, I think we should look at it inside first and see what the capacity the gym will hold with the social distancing requirements. And then based upon those numbers, then we could say, yeah, we can do it, or no, we can't.
Right. We need a direction going first, yeah. And
That makes sense to me. The thing, you'll have to have the doors open.
Yep.
But it shouldn't be as hot in the school as it would be outside, I imagine. And you can also open up 2 rooms. You can do the cafeteria and the gym if we needed to.
Right, that's what kind of what I was speaking to before. We could have a second room. And that's a good thought to the cafeteria. But I do believe it's going to be much hotter at the end of July than it is.
And now.
Than it is usually in May. So,
I think many years ago, and I wasn't in town at this point, there was one town meeting where they had an overflow tent. Does anybody remember that? It was outside. Was it for the seminary?
I don't remember it, but I've only been here since '88.
yeah.
We had set the tent up outside one of the doors.
So I guess if that's what we're going to decide at this point, we need to look at the square footage of the high school gym and also the cafeteria. Also a possibility too is if that we can somehow, throw it in a different location, then I'd also say, we should look at the middle school as well. Because if we have the ability to show it at a different location, and it doesn't have to be, it's wireless, why not take advantage of the cafeteria in the middle school as well?
Wait, do you mean the new school?
The new school, yes. Well, the elementary school, sorry.
Well, pre-COVID, we were looking at moving town meeting to the new school. We have to get floor mats for the gym, so the chairs don't scratch the floors in the gym, and that's what we were working on. But with COVID, that got halted, because that's gonna cost money to buy the mats.
Okay. Hey, Chief, do you mind taking a question? Chief? I'll take that.
Yeah. No,
I'm gonna ask some of your expertise outside of policing. What is the size of a basketball court? If you know offhand, that'll give us no idea. That'll give us the square footage that Chris was talking about.
part of the problem there too, Glenn, is that's not a regulation court. That's smaller than a regulation court.
You know the size of a regulation court? No.
Nope.
Wait, I know,
I know, I'm just trying to figure out something.
As I said, tomorrow we've got Jeremy going up to city and
Right.
voting equipment. He's gonna bring a wheel.
Okay.
And then actually the square footage.
So tomorrow, Jeremy will look at the square footage for the gym at the high school. We should also have a look at the square footage for the cafeteria. And then we'll take what the state has for their system and figure it out, I guess. And see at that point how many people we can fit. And then if we need to look at other options or entertain something different, then that's something we should look at. But that, I think that's a good starting point. We gotta look at a date too. So if we're looking at the 27th and we're looking at having it indoors, we'll have questions answered tomorrow. And then
I would like the board to schedule a meeting.
you wouldn't schedule any meetings.
Yes. I know.
But no, in reality, we have to, because if we don't, it's right, we're up against, yeah. So, and I would agree. So if Chris is gonna have Jeremy tomorrow, get that needed information, and then Chris can work on it, maybe with you, Lynn, as far as, what's needed as far as the state requirement. We can maybe meet next Wednesday.
Yep.
And then figure out if it's feasible, possible. If it is, so we'll set a date and we'll move forward. If not, then we'll come up with another idea, go down that road.
All right, and then the only other thing I would ask the select board to think about is only putting articles on the annual town meeting that really have to get decided at this point, like the budget.
Hey, Lynn, can we combine some housekeeping articles and do them all at once?
Yeah, I've talked to Chris about having a consent agenda. It's called the consent agenda. But until I see the articles, and what that would be the non-controversial articles and the routine articles that we have every town meeting, we put together and they'd be voted on all at once through a consent agenda. And if somebody in the meeting wants to talk about one of those articles, we would just pull it from the consent agenda and keep on going, and then address that later.
I think we should do that. And then if it's gonna be prolonged on an article, we can just reschedule the article for another time. But the most we get done at once, I think is the best for the town. But again,
All right,
everybody has their own opinion.
Well, until I see the articles, or Chris and you draft the articles, once you see them, you can then determine, we can have 3 consent agendas. It doesn't have to just be one, but there's ways to shorten the meeting for certain.
That's what I would like to see.
And I think you brought up a couple of the ideas already, Lynn, ways we can do that too.
Well, I'm going to limit talking. Presentations will be limited. People on the floor will be limited. So there's ways to limit the meeting so people get in and out quickly.
Okay.
So then Chris, you'll have Jeremy measure the gym tomorrow and then get back to me if that's a feasible location.
Yes.
Do you have an approximate based upon the other towns on percentages, what you think would show up, Lynn? Remember you said that more people were showing up than normal in the other towns?
Almost double.
Is it, okay, that's the
So like if
question.
a normal meeting might be 120 in Hatfield, 220 showed up.
So if a normal meeting in Granby was hypothetically 300, we shouldn't plan on 600?
Yeah, but hypothetically, that's not a normal meeting in Granby.
I know.
I could ask Kathy Kelly. Yeah. I would say minimally plan for 200, especially if we have some controversial budget issues because we have to cut the budget, right? We're looking at a very bare bones budget. So I think that people are not going to be happy and want to come and discuss who's
Right.
not getting something.
And I want to make sure that we are being respectful to people at the meeting too, that they have the time that they want to speak and things like that. I don't want it to become, try to rush people through it. I don't think that's fair to anybody.
Right. But I will set time limits regardless.
You can, and I think that going forward is important to people to say this is a time limit in respect to the situation that we're in right now.
Right, exactly. And everything's different and new. So we're just here for your safety,
Right.
doing this stuff.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I mean, that's what we kind of, ask people, this is for people's safety. That's why we're doing the things that we're doing at that point.
Right. And I'm sure we're going to get some pushback on masks. I'm sure we're gonna get pushback on stuff like that.
So but that's something we need to look at too, as far as what the state is requiring, because the state's not requiring everybody to have a mask. Some people don't have to, if they say they have a medical reason. That's something we need to look at.
And I can tell you what other towns are doing is requiring masks, and if you don't want to wear a mask, you will sit in a certain area with other people who are unmasked.
That's correct. And also, one of the biggest advantages of having it inside versus outdoors is ADA requirements, particularly for use of restrooms and stuff like that. That was brought up by the MMA.
But we can also, we can look at towns who've done it outside and see what they've done too, if it comes to that.
Right. So, all right, so we'll look at it for indoors for now, see if we can do it, and then meet again, and then discuss. If it's doable, we'll do it indoors. And did GCAM say that they can go back and forth between two rooms?
Well, we haven't even asked that yet, so.
Oh, I thought he was there.
Lynn, look in the chat feature.
Look in the what?
So if you look at the top of your screen, there's a little chat bubble. GCAM has.
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
I see. Okay. It says, Lynn, call or email me. Will do.
Sorry.
If I touch the computer, I might lose everybody.
GCAM just said, Lynn, call me, and with the numbers, and then GCAM's email, and then potentially that we could use Zoom or go to meeting to broadcast to different rooms in both schools if we needed an overflow.
Okay. Well, so let's see if we can do it in the school, and then we'll convene again.
Okay, sounds good.
Do you guys have any questions?
Just a lot of unanswered ones. just
Yeah.
like you.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.
Bye, Lynn.
All right. Chris, you want to discuss the reopening plans?
Reopening, I wanted to delay to our July meeting. Okay. Problem I'm having is according to OSHA and CDC regulations, we have to actually have a written plan on how we're going to do it. And before I put a new plan from the board, I want to make sure the Board of Health has reviewed the written plan. And I don't think they're meeting until next Thursday. So if I could have them approve it first before I bring it to the board.
Okay.
I'm thinking July 16th.
Okay.
All right. Okay, that makes sense.
Hey, Chris, one question.
Go ahead, Jay.
On our reading, the Parks Oversight Committee put a recommendation in. Is Chris gonna forward that to the Board of Health as well? Or he's gonna come up with something different? As long as it goes to Board of Health, I don't really care. I mean, we do have a appointed committee.
Maybe opening of the playground then, Jay, until the Board of Health can review it next week.
Yeah, but that'll be, how it's done will be run by the Board of Health and they'll sign off on it, right?
The Board of Health is fine with whatever we decide on the playground. I have the rules, or I sent you guys everything that the Parks Oversight wanted. And then here's a sign that Jeremy's going to be putting laminated and putting up all over the playground.
And we have that in writing from the Board of Health, right?
It's the same rules that they had before when they opened up the park itself.
Like I said, we have it in writing from the Board of Health, right?
Is going to be sanitizing it every morning and keeping a record of that. He's gonna call us when it's done, and then his employees are gonna sign off so that I have a record that they cleaned it every day.
So the Board of Health has already looked at it, Jay. So do you still want it to go to the Board of Health, or are we okay with that?
As long as the Board of Health is signed off on it in writing, I got no problem because they're the approving authorities, not us. I just don't want somebody to come back on the town later or on the select board saying, hey, you didn't do this or you didn't do this. And then we're left out in the cold because the Board of Health didn't approve it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. And this is from,
The the bottom is everything that the Board of Health already
okay,
approved of. When I talked to the Board of Health and talked to Gene, again, every time anybody calls the Board of Health, they said it's up to us.
Yes, that's what they've been telling me.
Right.
okay. So the Board of Health has weighed in on it, and they have listed what they want to see addressed at the parks as far as requirements. So, okay. All right. We all set with that? I'm okay with it. I mean, it's already been addressed by the Board of Health. I'm okay opening it at this point. As long as Board of Health was fine with it, and they did. They listed the restrictions that they have want in place. Is there any way we get like bigger signs made, you know, so?
What we do, we limit it, and we're gonna put them around, multiple signs around.
Okay. And Jeremy's there every day, so Jeremy can check in and make sure the signs, because if the signs are torn down, I want to make sure they're put back up. Because it's possible people will unfortunately take them down or something like that,
They've
so,
already,
yeah.
actually, when you called me, told me the park was still closed. There was an incident, we had to call police to go over and tell them to leave.
Right, but I don't, but what I'm saying is Jeremy's gonna be there every day, inspecting the playground, stuff like that, so I'd like to have extra signs made up, so if he needs to replace them, then
We're starting out with 10. To put around the structure.
you might wanna have like 30 made.
Gee,
But just in case, so that he can't put them up, because I think it's our responsibility. Someone tears them down, we need to make sure that the next person that comes there is aware of the protocol.
Chief, would you be able to have officers go through at a more frequent interval for the first day or two of opening?
Yes, they could. What exactly would you have them looking for exactly?
Just monitoring for group sizes. I know people are gonna be excited to get back out there. And just gentle reminders that, you know, we wanna keep and that masks are required.
Basically, just making sure they're conforming to the Board of Health requirements.
Right, and I think it might take a day or two for people to get used to the new things, and a gentle reminder might be helpful.
Yeah, I'm sure we can handle that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so I'll need a motion to open up the parks for tomorrow, or, okay. I'll entertain a motion to open up our town parks beginning tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.
I will make a motion to open up the town parks on July 19th, 2020. June, we're in June, sorry guys. June 19th, 2020.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion at this time? All right. All in favor of opening up the parks on June 19th, 2020 at 8 a.m.?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Everybody voted aye. Thank you. The park will reopen tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Jeremy, the playground, outside, the playground.
And the sports fields are still closed.
Okay. So it just, okay, so it just refers to more towards the playground. Okay. And Jeremy starts at 7 tomorrow, right? So 7?
Tomorrow we're setting up election equipment, so we're hoping to have everything open hopefully by noon or 1 o'clock.
Okay. And I guess shame on me, because I should have asked this earlier, but I would like to make sure these are posted before.
They will be posted when the snow fence is taken.
I am texting him as soon as this meeting is
Okay.
over.
All right. Yeah, because I'd like to at least have them put up.
What I'm saying is when the snow fence comes down, we will be putting those signs around, multiple signs around.
But people say, oh, gee, they said it opens up at 8 o'clock, so
I'm not saying 8 o'clock, I'm saying,
I said 8 o'clock. We said we voted it, that's why I'm saying
You
I wanna
might
make
want
sure
to,
that- we do our part.
Redo that.
Redo that.
you said 8 o'clock was over?
8 a.m.
Yeah.
Well, we said tomorrow, so we need,
I
I
would just say
said, so
19.
we needed time, but
You know, it'll be open by the close of business on June 19th. If you want to do it that way, but it gives you until 3 o'clock though.
I just wanna make sure when people go there, that how they gonna know it's not open or open
Because if he's not taking the fence down,
now.
once the fence is up, he's putting the signs up, then taking the fence down, then people will know they can play on it.
I just wanna make sure that people are aware of it, that's all. So if we can get.
It's hard to say because he's already scheduled with trying to get the voting equipment set up.
Okay, no, I got that.
And that's the problem that we're having. is that We waited so long that, you know, he's already scheduled for himself and his other two guys to try and set up the equipment.
So in all fairness, and maybe we should revote and then reschedule that to open the playground at a later date. And the reason I say it, because I want to make sure that Jeremy has adequate time
Open
to
it.
go
Well, I
there.
would say no later than, it'll be open like from Saturday. That way it gives us all day Friday to
Okay.
open the.
So
All right, well, I will make a motion to rescind our previous vote.
and I will second Jen's motion to rescind our previous vote in regards to opening the playground. Is there any further discussion at this time? No. All in favor?
I,
Aye. Jay?
Aye.
Okay, so 3 ayes, okay. I just think that's important to that.
okay, now I will make a motion to open the playground for activities starting Saturday, June 20th.
I'll second that.
All right. Is there any further discussion at this time? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3 ayes. Everybody said aye. Okay, so it'll open, the playground will open on Saturday, June 20th. That gives us enough time to do it, okay? I just want to make sure it's ready and looks, so people aren't questioning and people saying, I heard it was open, you know. All right. Shame on me, I should have thought about it more before I spoke, but. Okay. All right, we're looking to approve 1/12 of the budget for fiscal year 21.
Did you see what was sent to you prior to this?
Yes.
Mhm.
What I did is on the Department of Revenue's Gateway site, there is a form called deficit spending approval, single month budget request for fiscal year 2021. As part of that, I have to give the anticipated date of the annual town meeting. When I was looking at it, I had just put in July 27th as the anticipated date, because we really didn't know, and I figured that would probably be the last Monday of the month before we would end up in August and have to submit another one.
It says anticipated date. so-
Anticipate, okay. Under it, I have a expenditure for municipal expenditures of $2,176,788. School expenditures of $497,894. And enterprise funds of $21,904. For a total authorized amount, a request for an authorized amount for July of $2,696,586. The way I came to that number was I went back and looked at July 2019 actual expenditures for every department, listed it for every department. To that, I then adjusted knowing what my assessment, the actual assessment is for the retirement system for July 1 of 2020. I know what my insurance premiums are. I know what my health, what our anticipated town contributions toward health insurance premiums, life insurance premiums, dental premiums. I figured all that in, and that's how I came to my numbers. So is the board willing to approve the 112
Yeah.
budget number that I am presenting to DOR for approval?
I have one question. What happens if we go over that amount?
We can't go.
We can't, so. Okay, so, all right, so, so nothing.
That's why it's,
You can't go over that
that's,
amount, and if you get close to that amount, you can't ask if that's it, that 112, if that's it for the month.
That's it. That's the only authorized deficit spending we have.
Jay, do you have a question?
no, I was just gonna say that 1/12 is a minimum for the town. And Chris has figured out the minimum he can get by for the town for the month.
Right, right, no, I understand, I just want to make sure that, you know, we're all set, and Chris did, I think, a fine job at looking at all the things that are required in the month of July for our budget.
So just that some people were thinking each department was gonna get 1/12, and it's not, it's 1/12 for the town.
Right, exactly. Jen, do you have anything?
No.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion at this time to approve, Chris to move forward with 112 for the budget for fiscal year 21. I'll second the motion. Is there a second for the motion?
You hear me?
No, I didn't hear you. Okay.
I said yes.
heard you. All right, thank you. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right. We have approve and sign fiscal year 20 transfers.
Okay, I'm gonna ask that the board delay this to your meeting next Wednesday. And the reason I'm doing that, we have,
No, we're having a meeting next Wednesday.
it's what you scheduled. You just discussed that.
Just kidding.
You just discussed that. So, item number 4
Yes.
is a discussion regarding unused vacation. A lot of employees, due to the fact that they were essentially employees, could not use up their vacation time like they normally would during the regular fiscal year. We have large amounts of unused vacation time on the books for each employee. I originally was looking at allowing them to, for this one time, move it over to the next fiscal year and it had to be all be used by the next fiscal year. What I was thinking instead is we buy out the amount of unused vacation time over what's allowed per the individual contracts or the personal board bylaws. It'd be a one-time buyout. We would write a check on the last payroll of the month and we go forward. That way it's off the books. They've been compensated for the time that they weren't able to take, and it allows us to move forward and not have to worry about monitoring that they're using it in the proper time frame in the next fiscal year. Okay? I would like the board to approve that plan of action so we can get a notice out to all the employees in the next paycheck.
I'm thinking.
You think all you want.
Thanks. No.
Those funds are from FY20, right, Chris?
Yes.
Okay,
Right.
I just want to make sure we're not interfering with the FY21 112.
No.
Is it something that we could give the town employees an option, whether they want to be paid out or?
I think that becomes a monitoring issue, it's just more work.
Well, it's more work, but it could
They're
be.
gonna be paid that vacation at the new rate, so it's gonna cost more in the long run.
Well, the only major concern I have, what if an employee already has a scheduled vacation and is planning on using that time?
That's why I want to put the notice out there, every employee, that basically they'll have used it. I'll talk to the department heads. Has anybody scheduled any vacations with them? They should know because it's only going to be, the next payroll goes out next Friday. Okay, which will be through July or June 20th. June. Okay, is the pay period ending. The department head should be able to give me an idea of who has put in for a vacation request for that last week and 2 days of the fiscal year for June. Okay, that's the way I'm looking at it. And that way we can turn around and it's a very simple calculation to go through and figure out what I need. I should be able to get all the information together and have an amount put into a certain fund under the control of the selectmen to pay out all this vacation time to people who aren't able to use it.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody has done such an outstanding job under all these conditions with the hardship of the state of emergency. I'd like to hear what they have for input, because, I mean, they've done a great job, and to all of a sudden tick them off because we're taking away your vacation, we're giving you money instead.
And I also think, and money's always nice, I'm sure some would appreciate it, but on the other hand, someone would probably think, I need time off. I'd rather take some time off from my job and.
Well, how about, can we consider this?
The problem can be, okay, say I have 5 weeks vacation that I get every year. I was only able to take one week of that before COVID kicked in. Because I normally go to the beach or I go, and I take a spring or a early summer vacation. So now they're gonna have 4 weeks of unused. Then you're gonna add another 5 weeks next year to it. So now you have 9 weeks of vacation that they have to use in a 12-month period of time, which is going to destroy overtime budgets and things of that nature in certain departments. That's all I'm trying to say, is we got to be careful of what we're trying to kick down the road.
No, and I understand that. And I also know, like, some people, maybe had plans to, for instance, say they were planning to go to Maine or something like that. And based on Maine's requirements right now, they've postponed that. You can't go into Maine until end of July or August or something like that. Because Maine's done that. So that's what I'm kind of thinking. So that person's saying, well, gee, the vacation time now that I was going to take in June, I'm going to now take it in July, but I'm using 2 weeks from this year. So I have to kind of replan my vacation for the rest of the year.
Well, most contracts allow them to keep a minimum of 2 weeks. Bring forward to
And we're
the
only rolling over, we're only paying out what we can't.
roll over. Yes.
Okay, well,
That would be-
did you say that?
Yes.
Yes.
I said
I missed
the
that.
amount that they're over, that they're not allowed to retain
Okay.
for their contracts. Each of the contracts, like I believe the police says they can roll forward 2 weeks. I can roll forward 10 days. Captain can roll forward, say, 5 days. Dave DeRosa can roll forward X
Okay.
number. Non-union can roll over whatever.
All right.
I'm just using numbers, okay? I'm just saying, each contract has a certain thing.
But I'm okay with that we're allowing people to still,
We're only paying off the
Right.
excess.
Yes.
but I would like to, I guess I'd like to entertain though too, to help out with that. So people, well, I guess I'm not sure, listen to what the board has to say. As far as, instead of me rolling over, I'm allowed to roll over 2 weeks, but instead of rolling over 2 weeks, I'd rather take the money now. Does that help out the town?
You need to give each person the option.
Right, so instead of me
whether they
saying,
want to roll
right,
it or take it off.
right, I have 3 weeks. I'm allowed to roll over 2 weeks. And I say this from managing department, it becomes a hassle half of your department is, a whole department is gonna start rolling over 2 weeks. That's gonna create a huge issue because in previous years, some people roll over a week, some roll over a couple of days. But if everybody's impacting that 2 weeks, that's gonna have an impact.
I would say some people don't have any vacation. They've already used it. I'm
Yeah,
just
well-
saying, people who weren't able because of COVID, like you said, Maine got
Right.
closed down.
Yeah.
Cape got closed down, wherever they're going got closed down, Florida, the Carolinas, whatever.
I'm just putting out things as to kind of think about is how it, impact people.
However the board wants me to do it, I'll do it, but I'm just saying I'd rather pay in FY20 than rolling large chunks of time over to FY21 and creating a larger budget potential crunch.
And that's the point I just made. I'd rather have someone, if you want to be paid out, I'd rather pay you out than have you roll over 2 weeks.
Well, how about if we look at this as simplification?
I'm sorry, Jay, what?
Why don't we just try and simplify the whole thing? Tell the people that we're going to pay them for all their vacation time they have not used in FY '20. And on a non-interference basis or mission essential, they'll be authorized to take leave without pay. Because they would have already received the money already.
But you're still gonna have to cover the shift.
Yeah, and sometimes when you start taking time off without pay and stuff like that, that can affect people's retirement and stuff like that. There is other things involved with that when someone's not being paid at work.
I didn't think that minimum amount of time would affect health insurance or anything like that.
It can, because if I got paid for 2 weeks already, and now in July, I'm gonna take 2 weeks off, I need to come up with my portion of, if I'm taking 2 weeks off, I'm not receiving compensation, then I have to pay the town for my insurance. Because I don't want to take it out of my paycheck because I went without being paid.
Well, let's ask Chris on the policies that we have, is that required or is there a stipulation in there, somebody can go so long with leave without pay that the town would pick it up?
No, we don't pick it up for them.
Yeah.
No.
Okay,
Number- What I will do sometimes is if they are out on, say, family medical leave,
Mhm.
okay? And they're out on unpaid leave under it, when they come back, I will double their premiums or spread out what they owe me over a couple pays or 3 pays, things of that nature. But I don't want to just sit there and say that I'm just automatically going to assume the cost and that's it. No, I would work with them to try and make it so that whatever they don't pay for premiums if they take unpaid leave would be allowed to be deducted in subsequent payrolls till they get done.
So why don't we just pay out all vacation, not even what they can roll over, just whatever they have for current?
I can't hear you no more, Jen. I see your lips moving, but I can't hear you at all.
Oh, I'm sorry, was I not loud enough?
No, you were just like you're muted.
Well, I am, because I'm using Glenn's microphone so we don't echo. Can you hear me now?
No, I can hear you, yes.
Okay. Can we, instead of just allowing them to roll over, can we just pay out whatever vacation is due for 2020 minus and the anticipated vacation for that last week?
I think their contracts allow them to roll over time, and if we're not in violation of their contract, not allowing them to do so, if they wish to do so. So I go back to what I said earlier, should we give people the option?
Problem is there's a time crunch.
Right.
The problem is there's a time crunch because I have to have everything ready for your meeting next Wednesday.
Because it's gonna be paid out by 30 June or it's gonna affect FY '21.
Then just go with that. I'm fine, Chris, just going with what you originally said. We'll pay people out and they can roll over up to their allotted contract. But you'd have to know that when people are rolling over.
I'm fine with that.
I mean, that's the easiest
Are
way
good
for
with that,
you.
Jay?
Are you okay with that, Jack?
Oh, I don't really have a problem with it, as long as Chris is willing to work with the people if they want to take leave without pay and make up, like he said, he does it on a case-by-case basis. I mean,
Yeah, well-
it may not even apply.
Yeah, so like you said, so he's gonna pay, so the one, from my understanding is that, so if someone's allowed to roll over, say, 2 weeks, okay? And they have a week on the books, they can roll that week over. That's not gonna affect anything. However, if I'm allowed to roll over 2 weeks and have 3 weeks on the books, I will be paid for 1 week and I'll roll the other 2.
Right, I understand that.
So-
And I don't have a problem with that, because that's what the contract says.
Well, so, yeah, right, so, yeah, or maybe. But then, so that's, I'm fine with that. I mean, it makes sense, Chris. It's the easiest for you. And like you said, you're kind of in a time crunches to get all the information in to make sure that people are getting paid out for this fiscal year. I'm okay with that. So I'll entertain a motion for that.
I will make a motion to allow Chris to pay out any vacation that cannot be rolled over for contract or
Personal one, or personal one.
or personal, for fiscal year 2020.
Is there a second to Jen's motion?
If it's what we were talking about, I'll say yes, because I could see the lips moving, but I couldn't hear her.
Yeah. Why can't you hear anymore? You heard her fine before, right? But she's not talking any louder. No, okay.
I can just tell you what I'm hearing, I'm not hearing.
Okay. We're
You
just
can
trying to
ask
figure out as we
Carol
go.
and Kevin, they're probably hearing or not hearing the same as me.
Is everybody else hearing Jan and myself speak? Okay. I'm getting some shakes. Yes, so, okay. All right, so it's a motion on the table, second by Jay. Is there any further discussion at this time? All right. All in favor? Aye.
Next topic, along with that. There was a request by a department from the board regarding hazard pay for fiscal year 2020. We did have one department that did work reduced hours, however, were paid at their normal work schedule. The highest amount that one of those people earned in that department was $1,400. What I did is I took what they actually worked versus what they were paid, calculated the difference, and the total for I think it was a 3 or 4 week period of time, was $1,400. Do you wish to pay other people who are required as essential services people to receive that same type of pay? Stepper.
I mean, I do, because I think we need to be fair across the board to all our town employees that were essentially required to come to work.
And nothing more than.
No, nothing more than that.
Yeah, I think it's trying to just be fair to everybody and across the board there, because people are coming to work because they had to, and I don't want to kind of look at different people and different, I mean, it's one town. I think we try to look at treating everybody the same way.
I agree with you.
I agree with treating everybody the same way, but if you do that, people are gonna complain that the school did something different.
We're not the school.
They're
We
still
are not-
part of the town, last I knew.
We are not the school, number one, Jay.
Mhm.
What the school did is outside our purview. That's another elected board that made that decision. It's up to them to answer the taxpayers. We are talking about the employees under the direction and control of the board of selectmen. And this is what we did for one department under the board's control. This is what we were giving to all other employees under the control of the board of selectmen.
Jay, what else do you have to say? Is there other concerns or what's the concern?
The people did what we asked them to do, and I don't see why we should be giving out additional funds if we were the ones that asked them to do it and they did it.
I'm looking at it as a way of saying we appreciate what you gave to us in an emotionally trying time. They came to work, they did their job in an amazing, efficient manner. And it's a way of saying thank you. We appreciate what you've done. They could have called out. Some of them have vacation they could have used. They came to work. They
Which
left
I
their-
would expect any employee to come to work.
What?
I'd expect any employee to come to work.
Some were allowed to work from home, essentials were not. It's a way of saying, we see what you did, we recognize it, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
So you want to give all essential employees $1,400, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
What
Okay.
would it cost the town, Chris, if you know offhand right now?
By volume, 78,000.
78,000?
And to my knowledge, every town employee, and I'm not talking about the school, came to work every day.
Yes, they came to their assigned shift, yes.
Yeah. So they came for their assigned time and they were compensated, and that should be the end of it.
And again, I'm looking at, there was one department in the town that was allowed to work.
But they were also working weekends and stuff like that, which they don't normally do.
What's that?
They were working on weekends and stuff, which they don't normally do.
No,
If they had normally done it, they would have get paid overtime.
Hours than they're compensated for.
they were kind of being compensated for less hours than they were working. So I think it's fair, and then just as a board member, that we're fair to the rest of our town employees, just to say, you know, you're no different. And you were unable to do that, or we are unable to do that for you or your department. So in lieu of that, we will compensate you the amount of $1,400.
And who are those employees that's gonna be compensated?
I don't know if Chris knows off the top of his head, but
I'm not gonna,
yeah.
I gotta go through the whole list,
Yeah.
Jim. I'm not gonna name
Yeah.
every employee at this point in time.
But he's looked at it and roughly believes that an estimate, and a high estimate, he said it would be $78,000 that would have cost the town to do that.
And this is across the board to all departments, not just one department, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Under the control of the Board of Selectmen.
Anything else, Jay?
No, I'm just thinking, that's all. I'm just trying to be fair to everybody. People did what they were asked to do, and now for somebody else to get something else, it just doesn't seem right to me, but
Well, I can tell you, Jay, there's many other local, state agencies, private businesses that have done the same thing for their employees, in a basic way to say thank you to them for coming to work in such a trying time, because for some people, it was difficult to go into work every day and do their job, considering what was happening at the time.
well, I don't want this to be precedent setting for future times, because we have no idea when the state of emergency is gonna be over.
Jay, I said this is gonna be a one-time segment. That's
So
it.
we are not gonna hear this in FY '21 or '22 or '23.
Considered past practice, okay? If someone wants something in the future, they will have to make a request, and the board will have to make a determination at that point in time. That's my opinion on how this should look.
I'm gonna agree with that.
And that's how I feel. And I think Jen spoke to it. It's a way of saying thank you to the town employees who are coming in every day as well. And I think we're being fair across the board as to with all the departments at this point. I think it's important that we do it. And the employees and departments under control, the select board look at that. And when we do that, we treat everybody the same way. And we can't obviously give other people time off now. So in lieu of that, we're looking at compensating them in the amount that would have, as Chris figured out, to be $1,400. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to, you want to,
To allow to have the town administrator determine the dollar figure that needs to be transferred to allow us to pay a $1,400 stipend to all essential employees during the COVID-19.
So moved.
thank you. Is there a second?
And I'm just asking the same question I did before. All essential employees or everybody in the town that came to work?
Yes,
Doesn't matter how many hours they worked, they came to work when they were told, correct?
Correct.
Then I'll second that.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? First, the only question I would have, is that's considered a stipend?
Yes.
So is it added into the retirement? As part of the.
Do you
base
want
pay?
it to be part of the retirement or not?
I look at it, you know what, I'm not opposed to it, just based on, not a regular stipend, it was a stipend that was acted on because of an emergency situation, people coming to work, so I don't have a problem with that.
It's just a matter of turning a switch as to, yes, it is part of retirement.
Yes,
No,
Yes.
I think it should be.
Yes,
It's just a switch I'd have to turn on.
then turn that switch on.
So, Jennifer, I would ask you to,
I will make a motion to have this stay.
well, I can just add it on to your motion at this time.
Oh, okay, I will make an addendum to my motion to have the stipend also contribute to individual employees' retirement.
I'll second Jen's motion. Is there any further discussion on this second motion as amended? Okay. All in favor? Aye.
This is still giving them $1,400, right? Same
Yes,
thing?
that doesn't change, yes.
Okay, I'll say aye.
All we're doing with it, Jay, now is that $1,400 will go towards their 3-year average, towards their retirement wages, okay? For the calculation for what their retirement would be. Okay?
Okay,
Anything else you're throwing at it, Mr. Martin?
No, that's why I couldn't do the FY20 transfers, 'cause
Okay.
these were big discussions that I needed from the board.
Okay.
The next topic that I want to talk about is under action items, the water main project.
Yes.
There was a proposal received from Chapel Engineering to separate the bid drawings so we could go out to bid as a separate project. It was also for them to do monitoring of the project work, basically have hire a clerk of the works, to also assist in the bidding process. And I believe the additional amount was $158,700 to do 5 additional tests. Okay. Does this board wish me to contact Chapel Engineering and asking them to forward a contract amendment in the amount of the 157 to move forward with the water main project down Route 202?
How much would that be in our currently approved?
Can I go upstairs and get my,
Yes,
Yeah, you did give us a number.
yeah, can I go up and get my sheets and I can give you that
Yeah.
number? I'll give you an exact.
exactly.
I think we, as a group, should contact our legislators and plain and simple tell them that when we started this project 18 months ago, we asked the people for 1.2 million because the state, being Mass DOT, says they were going to give us 560,000 in in-kind funds. We all know about the debacle on the last bidding process, how the town was overcharged basically, and the state was undercharged, so they have to go out for bid again. We all agree on that?
Well, I'm not gonna agree that anybody overcharged, undercharged anybody.
Well,
but
if
the
you
people
charge
were-
somebody $800,000 to put a pipe over a bridge,
I
But-
would agree that it was overbid to the town, underbid. to
I mean, the bids were the
Clearly
bids,
by the
so.
next lowest.
well, right now, they're going out for bid again. And what they're doing is they're piecemealing us off. The $560,000, well, you know, you're gonna have to do it before us, so we're not gonna give you money for police details. Now they're saying, well, since you're going out before us, we're not gonna give you any money for contract administration. And well, now since you're gonna do before us, we're not gonna give you money for inspections that we were gonna do for you. It's no difference. I say, we go to the legislators and we tell them, hey, this is the deal they gave us. They should live up to it. Because this town cannot afford $1.7 million for a water pipeline that was supposed to cost 1.2.
I have no issues with reaching out to our legislators. Absolutely, our senators, and representatives, yeah. I think we
we
should.
should.
Yeah.
Because Mass DOT is just doing what they did the last time a different way. Because the bottom line is, the way they're doing it now, the contractors would be paid twice. They'd be paid once by the state and once by the town. And that's not right. For all the taxpayers of Massachusetts and the taxpayers of Granby.
How would they be paying twice?
Because the town's gonna pay the police to inspect when they do their work, and then the state's gonna pay the police to inspect when the state does its work. Then the town's gotta do the same thing for the inspection. We gotta pay for our own inspection, and then the state's gotta pay for their inspection. The contractor's getting paid twice,
Yeah.
and that's not right for the state taxpayers as well as the town taxpayers.
All right. Well, it's definitely something to look into. And so we can reach
I'm
out to,
sorry, you know me, I watch the money. And
Oh,
I
you-
don't think it's right that we should have to pay a contractor twice, once by us and once by the state to do the same work, just at a different time.
well, we can reach out to our state reps and our state senators and ask on that and ask for some assistance, but the bottom line is the state decides what they're gonna pay and we need to decide what we're gonna pay.
And the bottom line, is time crunch for this.
Yeah.
So
Well, I couldn't hear you, Jen, I'm sorry.
the bottom line is we're in a time crunch for this.
You are right.
So
But I'm-
we're gonna have to make a decision as to whether or not we're spending this money regardless of what the state does or does not give us.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the current balance in that account is $1,133,472. If we take the 158,700 from it, that'll leave $974,772 for construction costs.
I'm sorry, what was that number, 900?
$974,772.
So that's the highest bid we can go without having to go back to town.
And yeah, that's correct. It's not gonna fly.
I'm
900
sorry,
That's what we have left, and with the latest bids, which I've seen, it's gonna cost 1.3 million for construction. Because of COVID-19, it's gone up 100,000. And that's not counting all this other stuff they're throwing at us now. I think originally 18 months ago, the state says, by way of Mass DOT, will give you 560,000 in in-kind expenses that you do not have to pay for. So we subtracted that from the amount needed, and we needed $1.2 million. We went to the people and we asked for the $1.2 million. By the state, me and Mass DOT, keeps pulling the money back, so their in-kind goes down, 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 and it's just a duplication of effort. It's not fair to the state taxpayers, and it's not fair to the Granby taxpayers. For us to continue this project the way it's going, it's gonna cost us $1.7 million, because there will be no in-kind funds.
And that's just something that the town can't afford at this point.
I mean,
That's
Point.
correct.
we're
That's correct.
$25,000 into this process.
Right, but if we can't cross the finish line,
And we
then
can't, I don't think we're gonna cross the finish line.
Okay.
I wish we were, and I don't think we're going to.
The only way we're gonna cross the finish line is the original deal where they give us 560,000 of in-kind funds that we don't have to pay for. That's the only way we're gonna cross it.
And we'd still have to go to town for supplemental funding with that. But we
Probably
can't,
for 100,000.
they'll give that to us because we have to have our project done prior to the spring when the state starts theirs.
With the way the state is, I'm gonna find it very hard that they're gonna start the
Well, I'm
project.
hoping they don't. If they can hold it off, then
I
maybe
don't-
we can hold off.
I don't think they're going to just, I mean, there's other projects I think that they're gonna take
I would love.
priority
to
over
see-
that.
I would love to see
State.
this postponed, so that gives us extra time.
I'd be very surprised if the state moves forward. I think they have other priorities that we're gonna take precedence over that.
I would agree with Glenn, and that's why I don't want us to spend all that money up front and then find out later, well, we're gonna reschedule us. Look at they did to School Street. Oh, they moved it out to 2022. Look at they did to Five Corners. They moved it out to 2023.
Oh, and it's happening. It's happening throughout the state. I mean, there's a lot of,
They don't
Different.
have the funds to do what they had
yeah,
previously planned to do.
no, I agree.
And
So I
I'm
think-
saying, they keep cutting our funds and like I say, it's like double taxation.
Yeah,
You're gonna pay for the inspection of the road as a Massachusetts resident, and then you're gonna pay for another inspection of the same portion as a Granby resident.
right.
And I don't think that's right.
So at this point in time, I think we wait and unfortunately hope for the best. And like I said, I'd be very surprised if the state moves forward right at this point in time with that project, because
Well, I was on a meeting earlier today, and so wasn't Chris, with Lesser and Group, and I told them that we need to discuss some things, and I would be discussing it with the select board tonight. And Eric says, well, you guys discuss it, and then give me a call, and we'll arrange a meeting.
I think that's a good idea. I think
That's an
we
excellent idea.
arrange a meeting with him and all our reps.
Oh, I'm not eliminating anybody, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
he's the chairman of the Economic Development for the state committee.
Right. But I think we also invite the other reps too, to be, I mean, there are sound piece for us as a town, so.
Should have Carrie and Don there as well, but we should inform them exactly what's going on. They're pulling the rug out from underneath of us again. And they should not be.
Yep, we can definitely invite them to meet with us and let them know prior to that, the reason why we want to meet with them. And
Yeah.
hopefully they can have some information for us to kind of move forward and look at things. Like I said, I'd be surprised if the state does move forward with that construction on 202 at this point.
I wouldn't argue with you at all, Glenn, but the thing of it is, if we go ahead and we do ours now and they don't move forward, what have we gained?
No, that's what I mean. So I think there's no need for us to move forward at all until we know the state is doing it, and, you know, maybe we'll get some clarification from, you know, from.
Well, they say they're going out for bid in September. That's what they're saying now, but everything is subject to change.
Right, that's the subject to change whether we put it out for bid or not. And I don't think we spend the money to put it out for bid, because that doesn't help us out at all.
No.
No, not if we can't cross the finish line, as Jen said, and they
Right, yeah.
keep pulling the money back, we're not gonna be able to.
Right, and if the state postpones it, then, you know, our bid are not good anyways. So
You're right, we've done all that work for nothing.
why spend the money now until we know exactly what's going on?
I agree, and I think we have to get our representatives from the Senate and the Massachusetts House involved. And my personal thought on the whole process, whenever Mass DOT goes out to do a state road, they should work whatever community it is with them to limit costs and improve it. Because the bottom line, once you get infrastructure installed, not only is the town going to earn revenue from the property improvements, but the state's gonna get sales tax revenue from all the stuff being sold out of those buildings.
Of course, I think it's, yeah, I think anything, that's what the state's there for. The state is there to help the towns and cities. That's what the state's job is.
But they don't seem to be doing it with us on this project.
Well, that's why we're gonna have the conversation with the Senator Lesser and the state reps.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, so we'll we'll just table that for a later date.
I'm good with that.
Sound good, Jay?
Do you want to try and get it done before the next select board meeting? So if we have to take a vote, we'll have a timely manner without having a special meeting?
Yeah. What done?
Schedule the discussion with the state
Oh,
reps
meet the reps? Yeah, I think we should definitely do that, yeah.
before the next select
And
board.
I think that's gonna, based on their schedule as well. Because I'm sure it's a busy time for them right now too, that's going on for them. So we kind of have to look at what works for them as far as the time frame to get all three of them together would be my first thing. If not, at least get two of them together and then go from there. Find out what, maybe we throw out some dates and we have to give them options because they're just as busy as other people are as well, especially
I
now.
understand
Huh?
I said, I understand that. I was on 3 of these calls already today.
So maybe we could have Chris reach out to them, ask for some available dates that they're available, and then he can reach out to us individually. And we can let them know if we're available for those dates. Then we can come together and schedule a meeting.
Well, at this morning's meeting, Joel told me just to give him a call and he could give us some dates.
Well,
If you want me to do that, I'll just do that.
I just want Chris to be the point person, Jay. That way Chris can find out, keep track of it, and he can reach out to the two other reps, and then he can reach out to us. So he's the main person keeping everybody in the loop.
As long as we can get the meeting done before the next regularly scheduled select board meeting, I don't have a problem with that. We can't go any further.
Well, that'd be good. I mean, but again, that's up to
It's up to
their
their.
availability.
Sooner the
I
better
mean-
would be awesome if we could get it done before the next scheduled meeting.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I think us as a select board are in favor of meeting as soon as possible. They're the key people that gotta be there with us.
Oh, I
We'll make
understand.
we'll make our schedule work for them.
And
I
as
guess
soon as possible, like Jen said, is the best. Get it
Yeah.
on the table because they may need some time to go back to Boston and get straightened out on the other end.
Right, true. Because whatever we talk to them about, I'm sure they're gonna bring it back as well to discuss it. Okay, so that's tabled, and Chris, that's something you can do for us. Reach out to Senator Lesser, the two state reps. Kind of set up a meeting with the select board. We'd like to meet with all of them, and it's based on the 202 project. All right, Chris is on board with that, so when we want to do it, if we can do it, we would like to do it before our next scheduled, regular scheduled meeting. And the select board is open to making it work, whatever works for them, we'll make it work as a board. Anytime after 4 o'clock, for some reason it doesn't work for me, it's gotta be a Tuesday at 1 o'clock, I'll be there, okay?
I just want
All right.
probably
Yeah.
before.
But only Tuesday at 1 o'clock, anything else, no. But I'll make it work, as long as I know, it's an important meeting, and I'll make it work through my work. I'm gonna have to check it, so.
Do you want to touch on the EV charger stuff or no? Jay, do you want to deal with the EV charger stuff?
Yeah, we have to make a decision. It's in or out. Got to be done by August the 17th. Do we pay the 4,700 and the state pay the 12,500? Or does Chris explain to the state why we're not going to do it? I think we got to wait for Glenn, right?
He's just doing a quick check. His
Oh.
phone.
Oh, I
It's
thought,
like-
because the electricians are ready to start, they just need the new prevailing rates. The equipment is in stock, but if we wait much longer, it may not be in stock. And we have to meet the August 17th date.
How long does it take to install them?
Say that again?
How long does it take to install?
They could do it in a day, maybe 2 at the most, if you gotta let the concrete set. So I would say 2.5 days, because you gotta let the concrete set, harden up, and then they come back.
I asked him to call you. So that's. You have something?
Well, he's asking you a question.
I wasn't here for the question, Jay, I apologize.
Okay, the EV chargers at the new library.
Yes,
Okay, the state, under the Volkswagen, money, they're willing to give us $12,500.
okay,
Okay? Our share is approximately $4,700. And the reason I'm using the word approximately is the original quote, prevailing rates may have changed.
okay.
So we have to give the electricians the new prevailing rates.
Could
And
be.
so it's approximately 4,700 for us. The state's paying 12,500.
Is it up to 12,500? Is that what it is?
No, they are paying 12,500. They've already agreed to pay that.
It's up to Jay, based upon what the units end up costing.
Well, we already sent them the cost of the units. They got copies of the quotes and stuff. They know what it's gonna be.
We ordered 2 units, it was around 11,000, that's what we get back. They don't pay more than what we pay out for the units.
Oh, I agree. On this particular program, this is different than the other one. They'll pay up to a certain amount, not to exceed 80%.
Okay.
Did
This is
we
not-
get information, Jay,
I'm sorry, I'm getting an echo out of you.
did we get information on how long the chargers that are here have been and if we can turn them?
I'm sorry, I can't understand you.
The ones at the senior center are approaching 3 years. She wants to know how long have the chargers been here at the senior center, Jay?
I think we went through this. I think we said, like you said, 3 years for the senior center, about 18 months at the school, and 4, 5, 6 months at the police station, something like that.
'Cause I looked out here on the unit, and I
Yeah.
believe it was installed in 2017.
I believe it, Chris.
So did anybody find out how long we have to have them for municipal use before we could switch them?
They don't have an answer for that. They said you applied for them from workforce, they're workforce. They don't have an answer to that. You have
Well, what-
workforce charges and you have public charges.
I'm sorry, what, Jay? The door just opened.
You have either workforce charges or you have public charges. There's been nothing determined as if you can switch one to another.
So they're not saying we can't, they're saying it hasn't been determined.
I'm saying what the contract says, what they are.
No,
Okay.
I'm agreeing.
And they
Or
willing to change the
Hang on,
contract.
Jay. Jay, hang on a second, please.
does the board wish me to contact Saja at DOER and ask her, at what point in time can we convert the units at the senior center to a pay-per-use unit?
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought we'd already
That's what we were looking for last
looked
time.
for
yeah.
that.
Is that
And
an action
Saja-
the board is asking me to do?
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
adding to your action items.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And
What I-
Sajo does not work for Mass DOER, she works for Mass DEP.
She can reference me to whoever I have to contact.
Okay, so that being the case, I'd like to just table this discussion until we get that information. There's no sense in beating a dead horse until we know what color it is.
Okay, just remember, your August 17th is your drop dead date.
August 17th. Yeah.
Yep, so if it only takes a couple days to install, we'll say a week to get us the equipment. As long as we have information by the next select board meeting, one right after, we're fine. We got this.
Provided the electricians haven't taken any other jobs and provided they haven't run out of stock at the manufacturer.
I'll just bat my eyes at them, Jay. It'll be fine.
Okay,
All right, so I'm sure we can find an electrician that is available to work and the last time you checked too, they had it plenty in stock, right?
yes, and I forwarded the emails to everybody.
Right, so we didn't know they had it in
We
stock.
know they have it.
Okay, well, I think we're good there. Okay. I'm okay with tabling it. So next select board meeting. All right,
Next. regular meeting.
well, next regular scheduled meeting. However, if you have that information for the next meeting, we could put it on the agenda.
I'll send an email to Sage tomorrow.
Okay.
Please give me the name of the person.
Okay.
Perfect.
Anybody else that?
Next up.
Next item is we received a letter from the Girl Scouts of Central and Western Massachusetts. And we have 5 young ladies from the town of Granby who have attained the Gold Award, which is the highest achievement that a girl can earn in Girl Scouting. They are, but this year, the recipients are being honored at the Northfield Drive-In tonight. And basically, their certificates and letters of commendation would be mailed out to them later. The 5 young ladies are Julia Gavin, Molly Hoffenberg, Megan Lemke, Audrey O'Connor, and Amelia Weatherby.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
So,
Congratulations,
Yeah.
ladies. That is an awesome achievement.
Absolutely.
and then,
And I do have the honor of knowing several of those girls.
good. The next thing is the town clerk would like the board to read a reminder regarding the upcoming election on Monday, June 22nd.
No, I can read it. Did we want to, wasn't it supposed to be a robocall sent out as well?
Yes.
Was that the robocall?
Yes.
There you go. That's an answer to my question. Okay. So Town of Granby clerk reminders, election information for Monday, June 22nd, 2020. Please note the hours changes. Granby Junior Senior High School polls will open from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. Please note the hours are changed due to the COVID-19 pandemic and will be practicing social distancing as you enter the polls. We are asking the voters, please be considerate and wear a mask. And if possible, bring your own pen. Black ink is preferred. Parking in the back of the gymnasium and enter the gymnasium doors. Checking in for election goes by your precinct number. You can fill the specimen ballots by the following locations: Town Hall Annex, the COA, Granby Public Library, Granby Junior Senior High School, Old Library, Granby Post Office, town website, www.granby.ma.gov. The last day to file for an early voting ballot is Friday, June 19th until noon time. You can download the application on our website at www.granby.ma.gov. May scan it over to the clerk's email to save time at kellyregan@granby-ma.gov, or mail it to the town clerk at 215B West State Street, Granby, Mass. 01033, or drop off the application in the drop box at the Town Hall Annex. Once I receive the application, the ballot will be mailed to you. Early voting by mail application are also available in the case of outside the town clerk's building at 215B West State Street. Do you know what precinct you are? Not sure to call the town clerk office or look at the website at www.granby-ma.gov under Department of Town Clerk. If you do not answer your 2020 town census, you may not be considered as inactive. To avoid any problems at the election, please call the town clerk office to verify your voting status, or if you have any questions on early voting by mail. Questions or concerns can be directed to Kathy Kelly Regan at Granby Town Hall Annex at 467-7178.
Thank you, sir. And then we have one final topic of discussion. The board had received a draft contract with the IDPO for the period July 1, 2020 to the period June 30th, 2023. Does the board wish to approve that contract as it was submitted to the board?
I move to approve the contract as submitted to the board.
Is
What
there a-
contract are we talking about?
The police union, Jay.
Oh,
Is there a second to Jen's motion? I will second Jen's motion at this time. Is there any further discussion in regards to the contract?
yeah, I just thought that the contract was expensive, in my opinion. And I understand the reasoning. They want to have the same rate of pay as the surrounding communities. But unfortunately, Granby does not have the same revenue as the surrounding communities. So that's my opinion on it when I looked at it.
Okay, and just in reference to that, Jay, since you made that statement, I don't know how factual that we can consider ourselves to know what other towns and revenues have, unless we have documentation as to what the revenue is.
It's all public record.
No, and I agree with that, and I've looked at some of the surrounding towns that are considerable to what Granby's size is, as far as population and their police department. So that's why I'm saying that, to be fair, if it's a factual statement that we are comparing us to other towns. Granby, comparing us to other towns, but I think some of the towns that I looked at financially are in the same type of, bringing the same type of tax revenue as the town of Granby does, size-wise. Some are actually even less. So,
Well, that was not supplied earlier. The only thing that was supplied earlier was the wages. They wanted to bring the Granby wages up to the same as them.
no, and I understand that, Jay. My comment was based off the comment that you just made as far as other towns and their revenue and the police department. I was just making my comment towards what your comment was, that's all. All right. Is there any other discussion at this time in regards to the contract? All in favor of the police, what is that official?
You want the actual-
IDPO 321
The IPO Local 321.
contract for the period
Contract.
July 1, 2020 through June 30th, 2023.
You calling it a vote?
July 1st,
July 1st,
2020 through
June 30th,
June 30th,
2023.
2023.
Yep.
At this time, I'll call for a vote.
Aye.
Aye. Jay? Is there 2 ayes? Any opposed?
I oppose.
Okay. So 2 ayes, 4, and 1 opposed against.
Contract is approved.
All right. Is there anything else, sir?
No,
No.
I've got one.
Okay.
Um,
You didn't give me time to reach around everybody or go around, but go ahead.
okay, well, I didn't want to get cut off beforehand. I'm trying to remember what day this was. Either yesterday or the day before. I know Jen will know the food services and security thing that we were signed up for. Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. I did attend that. Senator Lesser was there, Mindy Dom was there, Dan Carey was there, a representative from Neighbors Helping Neighbors, another representative from the Amherst, was it Survival Center?
Yep.
And a representative from the Western Mass Food Bank. And then they had Cheryl Stanton and Judy Dulong from Granby to Go. They were all discussing basically on supplying meals to the Granby residents that needed them. Some of the agencies do 20 Granby residents, some do 30 Granby residents. The biggest people that had the complaints was the school. They said because they were closed, they could not provide meals and or stuff from the Granby to Go to the residents. And they asked me what we are doing from the town. I read them last week's COA department report is what I read them, as far as 32 wellness checks, 27 homebound survivors, with 17 got supplies and so on. And basically, the school wants to know if they can supply donations and stuff to the COA, and the COA can distribute them or deliver them. And I said, you'd have to contact the COA director, because I have no idea how much room they have, either for preservatives or non-preservatives, or what kind of staff they have for delivering. So I just told them to contact them. And that was really about it. They're looking for assistance, and I told them that we cannot make that commitment without knowing what they want to give and how much space they need. So I told them to contact the COA director. If you think I should have done something else, tell me. But I'm not making commitments that I don't know about.
No, I think that was an appropriate.
I think you're pointing in the right
I
direction.
don't know what the storage space is here at the COA. We can't
Yeah.
offer to allow the use of their facility.
Mhm.
Makes
But I
perfect-
I believe, Mr. Martin told me at one time that, and I believe it was the Chicopee Sportsman Club or something, that even under the governor's phase thing, you can still apply and get an exemption. Is that correct, Mr. Martin?
Exemption for what?
They wanted to open the school to let out some, bring in some supplies and hand them out. And I said, well, that's not up to me.
I never talked with the Chicopee Sportsman Club or any of that.
No, I'm saying, we had a discussion, people were complaining that Chicopee Sportsman Club were firing, and during the time, and you said, well, they must have got an exemption. So that was the only comment that was made. I didn't say you said it. I'm just saying, you told me there is a possibility to get an exemption if you file for one.
Oh,
I
so
don't-
are you asking if there's an exception that can be made to allow the Granby to Go pantry to open?
Right, if they want to do it, let them file for an exemption to open it.
So,
I would assume that would be a school issue or a board of health. I mean,
I agree. I said, it's not our purview.
they have to go through the local enforcing agency,
Yeah.
which would be the board of health.
That is correct. That's what I told them.
Yeah,
Not us.
yeah. Right.
nothing we can help with, even if, I mean,
That's
I.
right. Exactly what I told them, and I referred them to the COA director,
So it's the right direction.
but they want another meeting on it.
Well, they can reach
But
out
the COA
to,
director handle the next meeting.
right, but they need to reach out to the COA director and go from there.
That's right. And we don't need to be involved.
No, I mean, we don't.
So was it Mary Lou or was it Judy that was inquiring about using the COA? Was it Neighbors Helping Neighbors or Granby to Go?
It was all of them really. And one of the things they wanted to say, I understand that sometimes our COA through the town will purchase some items for the people in need. And I know in the past, we've gone to the Big Y and they're just saying, well, why don't you come to us? We can sell it to you cheaper. I says, that's up to the COA director. That's not up to me.
Okay.
Okay,
I mean, that message can be passed along to the COA
I'll
director.
reach out to Mary and to Judy to get them on the right path.
Right, and if the COA director wants to purchase the stuff from Neighbors versus Neighbors or Amherst Survival Center, that's up to them.
We don't-
I'm not gonna tell them where to go buy it.
And we don't know what the COA director is buying at Big Y. It might be cheaper at Big Y. We don't know that.
I'm just going by what it said in the newsletter.
No, I hear it. I got that. Okay. All right. Well, with that said, anything else, Jay?
No, Mr. Martin can cover this morning if he wants. That's up to him. I'll let him figure out when he wants to cover it from this morning's thing.
Well, I think he's gonna talk about that next meeting. Okay.
That's fine. Like I said, I'm not gonna steal any of his thunder. I'll just divert to him.
Okay. Jen, anything else?
I have a motion to adjourn.
No. I'd like
That's
that.
what I have.
All right. So motion to adjourn on the table. Is there a second?
Yep.
All right. Is there any further discussion at this time? No?